Renaissance shooting, all is well, and all is in divine order. I have a revelation. I have a revelation that's about me. And I feel like we have a close enough relationship that when I have these revelations, then I can share them with you, boss. And you won't run out and tell everybody that Reverend Glenn had a revelation. But this revelation that I had may be something that you can relate to as we go through the message this morning. I don't know if you're like me, if you're similar to me, but sometimes I get these revolutionary revelations. Can everybody say, he had a revolutionary revelation? And this was the revelation that I had. Sometimes I'm tired of being tied up. I don't know if you've ever felt like you're tied up. There's a restraint on you, like you can't move something forward that's inside of you that wants to move forward. But this morning, I got up, and I felt like there's something greater for me to experience in life. Now, a lot of people ask the question, well, you know you're over 60 now. When are you going to retire? Never. Because I keep on having these revolutionary revelations. And it keeps telling me to keep moving forward. You ever felt like that? Like you had a calling and it's calling you to do something greater, to experience something you've never experienced before? There's a call in this season, this Lent season, that's greater than what you've ever experienced. Can we all stand? If you stand this morning, I'll never ask you to stand again. Don't lie. Leah said, don't lie. So I take it back. I'm going to retract it. Reverend Wilma opened us up to love, agape love. And that's very important. Love. Can we just say love? Love. Learning to love myself is the greatest love of all. But it's a struggle. And I witness it every day. And it's not about you. Your struggle with love. It's probably about my own struggle with love, of self-love. And having to raise my consciousness to the fact that I am loved and I am lovable, and so I need to love myself 100% of the time. Are you with me? So let's say this affirmation. With power, dominion, authority, expectancy, excitement, and enthusiasm. Can somebody say, I'm enthusiastic? Repeat this. I release, what restricts me. I untie what limits me. I am ready to rise because the Christ in me has need of me. No more delay. No more doubt. No more being tied up. I'm turning it loose. So, loose me and let me go on my way forward. Now you need to look at somebody and say, Loose me. Let me go. Because I'm moving forward. You may be seated. Now, next week is Palm Sunday. Did you know that? Next week is Palm Sunday. So I expect everyone to be here and bring a friend. It's the beginning of Holy Week. Right? Do y'all know that? So next week is Palm Sunday, beginning of Holy Week. And so all over the universe, you're going to hear stories. You hear a story about Jesus riding into Jerusalem on a colt, a donkey, an ass. The crowd's going to be excited. They're going to be yelling, Hosanna, Son of David, Savior, save us. Then they're going to lay down palm branches and cloaks in a praise path. That's what they're going to do. It's a very royal moment. It's a public moment. But I want us to rewind. Before we get to the palm branches, before we get to the donkey ride, the ass ride, before the shouts and the praise, there has been an instruction given. There has been a command given. There has been a directive given. And I think it changes the whole complexity of Palm Sunday. But I think we'd be remiss if we didn't go back before we get to Palm Sunday. Because I think it's something in the directive, the demand, that's for us. And I think if we're going to reach that 100% level of living, we need to understand a little something, something. So can you say, I'm ready to experience a little something, something? Bring it on, she said. Bring on the something, something. There's a Bible passage. And that passage is Luke 19, verses 29 through 31. It's a very pivotal passage, but sometimes it's misunderstood. Sometimes we don't go deep enough into it to really get the full depth and breadth of what it has to do with us. Now, as we go through, you're going to see that you have some tendencies. Can we say tendencies? And I'm not, by any stretch of the imagination, Brett, calling anybody a donkey or an ass. Reverend Wilma, don't look at me with those baby eyes and make me feel guilty. That's not what I'm saying. But we have sometimes donkey-like tendencies in that we can be stubborn. We can be fixated. We can get stuck doing the things that we do all the time. It's amazing how we keep doing what we do and we expect different results. It's amazing how we order up the same things in life and we get them. Isn't that amazing? It's amazing how our prayers are for the same thing over and over again. It's like going to Starbucks. I know some people who go to Starbucks, Tim Hortons, every morning without fail. Can't get it going unless they have their morning Joe. And they go so often that when they get to the counter, they say, Leah, you having your usual? Chuck, are you having your usual? And so most of the time when you get down in prayer, God already knows. Barbara gonna ask for the usual, not the unusual. Wouldn't it trip them out if you decide to order something different? No, Leah, tonight I won't have cashews. I'll have pistachios. Don't give me my usual salad. Give me a filet mignon. And I don't even eat meat, she said. But I want to get away from the usual. Because the usual is usually what we get. And so what if we were to focus ourselves on something greater this morning? And we discover that we can have it. Now, what if I told you that there is a gift inside of you? And it's greater than anything you've ever received. And so I want to go deeper into this message. Can we go deeper? As he, Jesus, who is it? Approached the village of Bethphage at the hill called the Mount of Olives. What is the mountain called? He sent two of his disciples. How many disciples? Saying to them, go to the village ahead of you. Where? 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 Oh, where? And as you enter it, do what to it? Do what to it? You will find a colt, a donkey. What will you find? Tied there. Tied there. Can we say that? Tied there. Which no one has ever ridden. No one's ever gone for a ride on this donkey, this colt. Untie it. What? And bring it here. Where? If anyone asks you, why are you untying it? I want you to say, the Christ needs it. What are you going to tell them? It's always somebody in your business, Brett. When you do something different, there's a colt, a donkey, that's been tied up, and you go up to that donkey, Reverend Will, and you start untying it. And somebody asks you, why are you untying that donkey? It's been there for a period of time. So why? And what are you going to say? You hear Reverend Williams, she said, none of your business. She is so unchristian-like. Give us back your membership card. But what's disturbing about this is Reverend Wilma opened up the message today, and she talked about love. And you told us which disciple was love. Which one? John. John is love. But then when I look at this, and it just says Jesus sent two of his disciples, and it doesn't give the name. Why wouldn't Jesus give the name of the two disciples he sent to do something that's very important? I don't know either. But I think what we don't want to miss is that it's not important to name. What's important is the willingness to go. You get it? It's not about who, it's about the willingness. Saying to them, go into the village ahead of you. It's a little different right here. So we got 12 disciples. 12 disciples. And you send two. And you don't let us know the name of those two disciples. Even if they volunteer, shouldn't you get some kind of badge or something? Shouldn't you get a cookie, a chocolate, a kiss, but he didn't say the names. Just say, go into the village ahead of you. Where did he say go? Now, where is the village at? So you're telling me that the assignment is not to go back, but to go forward. Is that the lesson here? So this is not about going back and picking up something from the past. It's not about restoring, restoration, renewal. You're saying, he said, go forward. Is that right? So this is not a look back and fix it. This is not reclaiming the old, the past. This is about restoration of what was, when it was, what it was, right? Now, some of you want to do that. You want to go back and pick it up because it was what it was when it was, but it can't be now. You understand what I'm saying? Now, this is where we're going a little bit deep. So the revelation is this. Now is what it is. That make any sense? Now is what it is. So we should be in the present and go forward. So the idea is, will you go there? Will you go there? We've been talking about a journey through Lent. And the question this morning is, will you go there? Can you say, will you go there? Don't look at yourself, but look at somebody else and say, will you go there? Because if you go, I'll take you there. I think that was the Staple Singers. I'll take you there. But it's hard. Because moving forward puts you in the space of the unfamiliar. But let me tell you something. Faith doesn't need the familiar. It needs forward movement. Emmett Fox said that. But faith doesn't need familiarity. It needs forward movement. And so the idea is really a cadence. Forward march. Forward march. And so we're trying to put all this together this morning because you got to get ready for Palm Sunday. You got to get ready for Holy Week because there's a lot on this journey to the crucifixion and the resurrection. And if you don't add things together, you'll remain all tied up. And can somebody say, I don't want to be all tied up? Say it like you're on the train track and the train is coming. I don't want to be all tied up. It used to kill me, those movies. Somebody running the train coming, they fall, and they on the track, and they just start screaming, and the train is 100 yards away, and they just start doing this. That's all you see. Ah! But it happens. But what we're saying is if you're all right with going forward, there's a calling. If you're okay with going forward, there's a gift. If you're okay with going forward, there's a truth for you to discover. But I understand that sometimes we get tied up in fear, tied up in self-doubt, tied up in approval addiction, tied up with family and cultural confusion, drama, tied up with outdated theology, tied up with spiritual amnesia, tied up with beliefs that because of my age, my stage, my financial account, my mistakes of the past, the drama of my past, that I'm disqualified. I'm not worthy. I used to go to a church, several churches, and they tell you all the time to say, you're not worthy. Anybody ever heard that? It became a doctrine that I'm not worthy. I'm a sinner, saved by the grace. Preach it. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You better watch your mouth, boy. I'll go Baptist on you in a minute. Yeah, I know I'm a serious guy. Don't make me that. So say this with me. Untie it. Go untie yourself. Now point to somebody and say, go untie yourself. Because Christ needs it. Christ needs it. You know, Christ needs it. So let's make this plain. I've lived through this. I've lived through experiences, times in my life where I didn't want to rock the boat. I didn't want to voice my opinion. You know what? I found myself sitting back in rooms listening. And what they were saying didn't make any sense. I'm like, I'm just as smart as them. They messing up the economy. They making up stuff as they go along. I might as well be in charge. And so I decided to step out. It was called leadership. Leadership. And I said, okay, if they're in positions of high authority and getting paid money, because I always had this dream of making six figures. I don't know where y'all at, but I always had this big dream of making six figures. And that was always my goal, 6 figures. I didn't even know what 6 figures was. But I always loved to read, Reverend Wilma. And so I was reading this book, Les Brown and everybody else, and they were saying 6 figure. You got to be a 6-figure person. And I say, so I got to make 6 figures, Steve. And so I'm looking around the room at who 6-figure people are. I'm going to different conferences. I'm going to all kind of motivational Tony Robbins conferences and everything else, getting all the books and everything else. And they telling me stuff like, only thing you need to do is move ahead. You got to rock the boat. And sometimes you got to get out the boat. Sometimes you got to stand alone. And they say sometimes you got to get up to the top of the mountain. And as you climb up that mountain, people will know that you have a secret. And that secret is what they'll seek from you. Seek and he shall find. And they'll find it in you. And I'm like, that sounds good. If I can make 6 figures, just climbing up the mountain and looking like I know where I'm going, that's what I'm going to do. And so I built this brand around, well, can I scale it up? And so I began to wear a suit every day. A suit every day. I only had 2 suits. I had a blue suit and a black suit. A bunch of white shirts that I got from the Goodwill. They're like $0.25 a piece. You come home and get the starch. Y'all remember that old starch? Y'all remember the starch? The spray starch, Argos? And you just spray it. And it looked so good. And so that's what I did. I had 2 suits, a bunch of white shirts that I got for $0.25, and I started getting the starch. And then my mother said, well, if they get dingy, you know what dingy is? If they get dingy, or you get ring around the collar, only thing you got to do is get the Clorox. Anybody know what Clorox is? That's bleach, and it whitens everything. And so if you do this, get a bunch of white shirts for $0.25, get you 2 suits, and then just walk around. Walk around. Walk around, look like you know where you're going. Like you're climbing mountains. And people will seek you out because they think you know something greater than you know. And in return, they'll pay you more for what they think you know. And so it's a cycle here. I got caught in the cycle, and it got to be getting good. We started doing our income tax one year. I said, I didn't want to tell her the income going up, but I had to tell her because we do our taxes together. So she's like, we starting to make some money. And then all of a sudden she went from my account to our account. That girl's smart. That girl's smart. I'll tell y'all. But here's what it was. Make it plain. Make it plain. Untie it. Because if we do, there's something, if we go back to Luke 19, 29 through 31, Donnie, if we look at this a little bit deeper, we'll see something there. The donkey, the colt, is untrained, untapped, but with great potential. All right? But it's tied up. Tied up means your power is bound up by fear error thought or emotional trauma. Does anybody here suffer from trauma? Raise your hand, as I do too. All of us experience trauma that leads to error thinking and fear. Fear about moving forward in the unknown. Bethphage, that place, is an immature place that's underdeveloped, but a spiritual awareness that's possible. The disciples are what? Power, your higher consciousness level. You at the higher level is your disciple. I think God is calling me. You hear that ring? God calling me. Jesus is the Christ in you, the divine mind seeking expression through you. That's what we want. That annoyance that you feel, that sense of, I know there's something that I need to do that's greater than what I've ever experienced. That's the Christ in you. Just wanting you to express it. You want to express more. You need to express more because it's part of your makeup. It's part of your nature. It's part of your DNA. So there's nothing wrong with you because you want more, because you want to do more, have more, and be more. It's your nature. We're always supposed to be climbing up a hill. And when we reach one hilltop, we're supposed to identify another hill and start climbing that hill. And everyone who's a truth seeker knows that this hill is just metaphoric for God expressing through us because what is put in us. Do you understand that? Not yet. Not yet. Charles Fillmore said, you may not know it, but there is tremendous power in your spiritual nature. Say, my nature. And imprisoned splendor, waiting to be set free. And then there's something that I like too. Reverend Ike said, let's get down with the get down. Reverend Ike said, I'm going to keep it real with you. Nothing from nothing leaves absolutely nothing. And that means if you give out nothing, you get nothing. But he also said, stop being tied to your stinking thinking. God doesn't want you tied up in a mess. God wants you dressed in success. Do you get it? Some of us have stinking thinking. If your thinking stinks sometimes, raise your hand. That's most of us. That's really all of us. Whenever you come down from top of the mountain, that 100% that Brett talked about, you're engaged in stinking thinking. This diluting your power, your dominion, and your authority. And so the idea is that we have to break this rope, this mental rope that's wrapped around us that has us all tied up. Do you see it? Do you see it? Because you have to untie it. If you're going to break through it to get through the financial situation you want, the relationship situation you want, the freedom that you want, the future that you want, and the faith that you want. Here it is, an unknown mystic. And I don't know how in the heck I began studying unknown mystics. Unknown mystics. But it seemed to tie into the idea that Jesus sent two disciples on a mission, and he didn't tell us their name. Now, is this a coincidence? I don't think so. But this unknown mystic said, we do not discover our power. We remember it the moment we unite what tried to make us forget. Let me read that again. We do not discover our power. We remember it the moment we do what? What? Untie what? What tried to make us forget. Isn't that thing that's got you tied up this morning the thing that makes you forget your power? It makes you forget who you are. It makes you doubt what you're capable of. That capacity that you have seems to be diminished. Untie yourself from what has you tied up. Now here it is, the call for action. I like it when they tell you every message you have needs to be a call for action. A CFA, what we call it, a call for action. And if you're in fundraising, like Brett and I are in, it's the ask. Isn't it right, Brett? You set it up, you set the table, because there's going to be a nice meal, and then we're going to make the ask. And so I'm going to ask you to engage in a call for action, because this call for action is very critical. Because there's a part of that passage, Donnie. Can we go back to that passage? Luke 19. There was something I said in the title. What was it? Christ needs it. The Christ needs it. Can y'all say the Christ needs it? The Christ needs it. What does the Christ need? Your action. But what does the Christ need? If you're tied up and the Christ says, I need you, the Christ is saying, there's a part of you that's out of alignment. There's a part of you that needs to come over here where I'm at. There's a part of you that's living in separation from you, and because of that, you see yourself living a double life. And so what the Christ needs, it is the it that's holding you back, that has you tied up. What is it? That's your it. Because you have to bring it into alignment, and this requires 3 parts. Can we say 3 parts? If you're going to be in alignment, it requires 3 parts of alignment: belief alignment, action alignment, spiritual destination alignment. Belief alignment. I believe the word is true. I believe the truth is true. I believe the principles of oneness are true. I believe that I can do all things through the Christ that strengthens me. I believe that. And that's my belief system. And then it says action alignment. Go forward. What's the call? And requires a commitment. Can we say that? Go forward. I'm willing to go forward. It's action. You can't just ask for the same thing over and over without action. You can't. And expect to get something different. It's action. Lights, camera, action. Lights, camera, action. When I pray, when I meditate, it says I'm willing to be in the spotlight. In that spotlight, the lights are on me. If the lights are on me, I'm supposed to shine. Because if the light is on me, someone's looking at me. And if they're looking at me, I have to live out my creed. I have to live out the word, the will, the way of God. The Christ is in me. Did you get it yet? Not yet. Spiritual destination alignment means I have to move. It says go into a different city, and that has not been habitated by you, because you haven't seen the you that you haven't seen yet, right? When was the last time you seen the you that you haven't seen in you yet? Huh? When was the last time you seen the you that haven't been seen yet in you? It haven't been seen yet. That's the answer. And so this is it. Belief alignment, action alignment, spiritual destination alignment. It means we have to move. And so we're moving to Jerusalem. Why Jerusalem? I mean, because we said we were getting ready for the Holy Week. Jesus is going to ride in on a donkey, an ass, a colt. But we got to be ready for it, right? Because when we get to Jerusalem, something magnificent is supposed to be happening. We're supposed to be on the road to something greater. We're supposed to be ready, willing, and able to go through the crucifixion where we let go of all things that no longer serve us. The beliefs, the words, the way of life. We're supposed to let it all go. I'll be crucified with Christ, is what we say, right? And so if there's that commitment, what we say is that Jerusalem is that place of divine completeness, wholeness, inner peace that I'm looking for in my life right now. And so we must go there. Tell somebody, we must go there. And so if we go there, we understand that we have to be untied. That's why this message had to come before the Palm Sunday message, before the Holy Week message, because you got to get untied up before you can walk, run, ride into Jerusalem and say, I'm ready to be crucified and then resurrected. But this time when I'm resurrected, I'm getting up and you're not going to even recognize me because I'm going to be better than ever. I'm going to be handsome than ever. I'm going to be prettier than ever. I'm going to be richer than ever. I'm going to have better health than ever because I'm going to be made new. That's what I want to do. And so I want to affirm something today. That if you're like me and you go through these emotional spells, but sometimes you just feel held back, tied up, tangled up, tense by what's next. Will it get better? Will it get worse? There is no worse if you go forward into Jerusalem. Can we all stand? All I ask is for a peaceful life. All I ask is for a prosperous life. All I ask is to have high value. All I ask is to be victorious. All I want is to be whole. All I want to be is healthy. And all I want to do, Lee, is just get to the point where I walk like I'm untied and I'm talking like I'm untied. That's all I want. Just take steps forward like I'm untied. Speak with a level of freedom and clarity that says, I'm untied. That's where I want to be. Can you repeat after me? I untie my fear. I release my voice. I remember my worth. I walk forward. Because the Christ in me has need of it. And so do I. And so from this point on, you can repeat that. From this point on, I'm going to walk like I'm untied. I'm going to talk like I'm untied. And because I'm untied, greater things shall I experience. Renaissance Union, I love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Thanks for having me this morning.